Every single Amazon seller wants to work directly with brands, and it's for a reason. It's the way Amazon wants you to do business. And if you're going to survive in 2026 and beyond, going into 2027, 2028, etc., you need to have a good system in place to find good brands to reach out to that are what we consider to be high approval rate brands. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly the Keepa search that I use to find brands that are open to doing business with us. Because one of the most important things you have to understand when it comes to reaching out to brands directly and getting brand direct wholesale accounts for your Amazon business is simply going to be the fact that you don't need anything really except a professional website, a business email domain, and how to find brands that are actually open to doing business with you. You don't need a lot of business history. You don't need a lot of the things that people talk about on the internet that you need whenever you're reaching out to brands. You don't need tons of money to buy from them and all this different stuff. You just need to know which brands to reach out to and why and when. So I'm going to walk you through a simple Keepa search that we use. You don't need any fancy tools like Smart Scout or anything. A simple Keepa search to start finding good brands to reach out to today. So let's jump right into the search criteria that I'm going to be using to start finding brands to reach out to using Keepa Product Finder, right? Nothing fancy. Everyone knows who Keepa is for the most part if you're watching this video. Keepa is just going to be a software that's going to show us brands data, and we can find good brands to reach out to in literally just a few minutes. So first thing is buy box minimum price. I'm going to do $15. And the reason I do that is because you don't want to be reaching out to companies that don't have any products that are not above $15. And the reason that is because you need a good profit per unit when you're buying from brands and doing wholesale on Amazon. And anything that's not dialed in perfectly in your business, such as prep fees or anything like that, could eat into your margins if you have cheap products, right? So that's the first step that I'm going to do is $15 minimum buy box price. Next step is minimum 3 FBA sellers, right? The reason I do that is you don't need a dominant Amazon on the listing or a dominant brand on the listing. You want to make sure there's at least a few sellers in the listing to make it to where you know they're actually working with third-party sellers just like yourself. This is not a process where you're going to be trying to take brands live or become the exclusive seller of brands right away or anything. We're trying to find brands that are actually open to business, right? They have a strong Amazon presence. They already work with people like me and you. You're not going to be the one to convince them right off the bat, right? Maybe down the road, but right now, we just need to find good brands to work with that have good products that we can sell and actually have approval to do so. So minimum 3 FBA sellers. Now I'm going to go to the buy box. Buy box seller, I want it to be a third-party seller. I don't want it to be Amazon. I don't want Amazon currently sitting in the buy box on that listing. I also want to make sure the top seller on that listing has 70% or less of the buy box. That allows us to know there's not a single dominant seller on the listing. There's no one that's exclusive. There's no one completely dominant because there's usually a reason for that. We need to find brands that have listings that have buy box rotation currently so that we can get in and start making sales right away. So buy box seller, 70% or less. The next thing is going to be the actual units per month sold, right? So we just need to see at least 50 units per month on some of these products these brands carry. And what that leaves us with is 43,000 products. We click find products, and this will leave us with hundreds of different brands we can look through. And honestly, when it comes down to it, guys, this is all you really need right here to start landing brand accounts. Is just the ability to know what brands to look for. So now I'm going to start looking through brands and show you exactly what I look for in a high approval rate opportunity. Remember, a high approval rate opportunity is a brand that's actually open to working with us right now, right? So let's jump right into that. All right, so I use the product finder search. I click find products, and now I can see all the different products that Keepa has laid out for us. These are all products that fit our main criteria, which $15 or more price, 3 or more FBA sellers, third-party seller in the buy box, 70% or less dominant top seller in the buy box. And then also you're going to have 50 plus units per sale or 50 plus sales per month, right? And I'm usually going to go ahead and sort this by brand. And the reason I do that is so I can see a full snapshot of the actual brand itself when I'm looking at these products to get a good idea as to if this is even worth a company worth reaching out to, right? And it'll immediately start showing you different brands you can reach out to. I'm going to skip to a section where there's actually like letters and not numbers just to make it easier. I went ahead and skipped to a random page. So we're now in the B's. And by the way, there's hundreds or even thousands of brands that fit our criteria that you can look through. And this is just a tip of the iceberg when it comes to an understanding that I'm about to go through. But I'm going to quickly walk you through a few different things that I would see when I actually start looking through these brands. So Bob's Red Mill, massive company, very well-known company that does different foods, right? This is not the type of company that would typically give a third-party seller direct authorization to sell their products. They do have FBA sellers selling their products, but many times people actually just fly under the radar listings and risk IP complaints or issues with their account later on when Bob's Red Mill actually does kick them off the listing or different things like that. So that's the type of company that usually does not give third-party sellers direct authorization in my experience. So I'm going to skip Bob's Red Mill. Now let's look at this one. So we have Bob's Sweet Stripes, right? 300 plus sales only on one product that does $26 per unit. That's going to be around $6,000 in revenue. There's 3 sellers on the actual listing. I'm going to click on it. What I want to look for is who actually sells these products, right? And I want to see if there's new third-party sellers that are carrying stock on these listings. The reason that I look for that specifically is because a new third-party seller that has purchased stock recently is someone that was confident in that purchase and where they were buying it from. So an arbitrage seller usually would not be someone that's buying a ton of stock off the bat. And the reason being is because they're not confident in that purchase. So if you're going to look at this, and you're going to see, so we can see the stock number here. We can see the first scene here. I'm going to go ahead and sort it by first scene and check it out. So it looks like just 2 months ago, someone did purchase 804 stock of this particular candy, right? So this is actually a company that I would consider reaching out to because there is a new seller with stock on this listing. There's not a ton of opportunity here, right? There's only one product that's doing 300 plus units per month, somewhere around 7,000 total in revenue on the products that fit our criteria. Keep in mind, there's also going to be other companies or other products within this company that do actually sell as well, but maybe not fit our criteria. They might be less than $15. They might have, less than 3 FBA sellers, whatever the case may be. But what I can see here is they do have third-party sellers that are currently and actively selling their products. They also do have new sellers that have stock on this listing. So this is an outreachable company. What I mean by outreachable is it's someone you can actually reach out to with semi-confidence that they might be able to give you an approval to sell their products. Now, Bob's Sweet Stripes is going to be maybe a 1 or 2 star opportunity because there's not a ton of potential for them when you reach out. There's not a ton of products that are selling well that fit our criteria and things of that nature. So I would rate this about a 1 or 2 star. I use a 5-star rating system based on approval rate and potential of the brand. So this is about a 1 or 2 star opportunity here. And what I use that 1 or 2 star actual rating for is how aggressive I would want to be in the actual outreach process, meaning, how much I'd want to reach out to them, how many different angles I want to hit them with, which is another story for another day, another video, right? But let's move on to the next one. So Bobex, 2 good products that have 1,000 plus and 2,000 plus sales per month. One of them is at $44. One of them is at $27.79. So the revenue here is somewhere around like 50,000 or more just on these 2 products that are fitting our criteria. And they have 7 or 8 third-party FBA sellers. I'm going to go ahead and click on it and take a look and see who's actually selling it and if there's any new sellers that have stock or they're carrying stock in these listings. So from what it looks like they have all third-party sellers. I don't see Amazon anywhere yet. I don't see the brand anywhere. And it looks like just in the last 23 days, there was a new seller with stock on this listing that just came on and started selling it, right? So they have 54 stock, which means they're pretty confident in that purchase. This person actually has 449 stock. So they're definitely buying it from an authorized source, such as the brand itself, right? So when I see that, that gives me confidence that if I was to reach out to this brand and convince them to give me authorization to sell their products, that it's a possibility that I'm able to actually do it and work with them because there's other people doing it already. If no one else has done it, there's no real possibility or, potential for someone like yourself to go do it. So you want to make sure others have done it before too, so you can use the skills that we teach to convince them to give you authorization as well, just like these other sellers. So just from the looks of it, it looks like Bobax is a really high approval rate brand with really high potential as well, with 50,000 or so revenue just in these 2 listings alone that are shared between about 7 sellers. And all you would do is buy the amount of product that makes sense to sell in a certain time frame based on how many sellers there are and how many units per month the products move. And in this particular situation, Bobax looks to be a high approval rate company with pretty good potential. I would give it at least a 3 or 4 stars, and I'll be a little bit more aggressive in the actual outreach process when I go to approach this brand, reaching out to decision makers, maybe following up more than I would, things of that nature, which, like I said, I will make another video on the actual outreach process itself. But it really only took us a few minutes to find a really good opportunity and a good brand to reach out to. And I wanted to quickly break this down for you to show you the exact Keepa search that you can start to use to find brands like this. Keep in mind, guys, this is all tip of the iceberg stuff. We get a lot more into detail in our actual programs and things of that nature. So obviously, I'm showing you a good way to start reaching out to brands yourself, and you can definitely put this into action literally today and start finding brands. There's a lot of other intricate things in this process you have to understand to really execute at a high level. I'll see you in the next video.